You.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Great. Make some notes. Okay.
Okay, good morning. Can everybody hear all right in the back? Is that okay? A little volume, maybe? Is that just me? I'm not hearing it. Okay. Good morning. The hour of 11:20 having arrived, I'd like to call the Kane County Board meeting for November 10th, 2020 to order. The reason for the delay naturally was Forest Preserve went a little long. Longer than anticipated, but a lot of important work. I'd like to ask Celeste, our clerk, to call the roll.
And correction, it is 10:20 this morning. That clock hasn't been
Oh, yeah,
changed.
thanks. I didn't.
Ellen.
Alan present.
Barrero. Barrero.
Guerrero here.
Thank you. Davis. Davis.
Raz here.
Hanson.
Hanson here.
Fernandez.
Here.
Oshite.
Here.
Iqbal.
Present.
Kenyon. Kenyon. Caius. Caius. Kopi.
Kopi's here.
Leonard.
Leonard here.
Lewis. Not here. Martin.
Martin present.
Molina.
Molina present.
Sanchez.
Here.
Shefflo.
Shefflo here.
Silva.
Silva here.
Starrett.
Garrett present.
Burgess.
Sturgis here.
Thomas.
Here.
Weber.
Here.
Wegman.
Here.
Winicki.
Winicki present.
And you have a quorum.
Okay, we have a quorum. Would you please turn off cell phones to avoid distractions over the next hour and a half? For the Pledge of Allegiance, if you would please rise and then remain standing for our prayer. This morning, we have the privilege of having Brian Pennell, brother to Karen Hames, who's in the county board office. So your proud sister. But Brian, if you've come to the microphone to lead us in the pledge. Brian has served our country in the United States Marine Corps until the year 2017. During that time, he was deployed 3 times. He moved up into the ranks to Master Sergeant and retired after 21 years of service in the Marine Corps. Brian now works for the U.S. Social Security Administration and lives in Aurora with his wife and 4 children. Brian, we're really glad you're here. So if you'd lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If you'd remain standing. For our prayer, I'd like to ask Adam Hardikoff to come to the microphone and lead us in the prayer. Adam has been a Kane County Sheriff Correctional Officer since 2007. Adam previously served our country as a U.S. Coast Guard, from 2003 to 2011, specializing in law enforcement, homeland security, search, rescue, and boater safety. So, Adam, if you'd lead us in prayer.
Dear Lord, thank you for the free country in which we live. Thank you for the men and women in uniform who have risked life and limb to preserve our way of life and our freedom to worship you. On this Veterans Day, Father, please be with each veteran, whether soldier, sailor, airman, Marine, or guardsman. The sacrifices they have made too often go unnoticed. Please look after their families and keep them safe as they have sacrificed as well. Bless the brave who protect the free. Renew the respect for our service members across our nation, and bless the country which they have served, the United States of America. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Adam. Okay, I'd like to welcome all of our guests today. I'd like to congratulate all those who have won elections and extend my sympathy to those who did not win this time. Also, I saw an announcement just before I came downstairs that Mr. Ken Shepro has been assigned as an assistant state's attorney for civil division matters from now until November 30th, if I'm not mistaken. And I've passed that on to all the board members, the department directors, and to the countywide elected officials. Okay, on the approval of the minutes, may I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from October 13th, 2020? Moved by Mr. Weber, second by Mr. Surgis.
Leonard moves.
Okay, we have a first and a second. So Mr. Weber first, seconded by Mr. Surgis. Are there any changes or any thoughts, comments? Seeing none in the room? Any from anyone on the phone? Hearing none, I'd like to ask the clerk call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Barrero,
Barrero, yes.
Gavest,
Gavest, yes.
Raz,
Yes.
Hanson,
Hanson, yes.
Yes.
Hernandez, Oshite. Yes. Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon. Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kopi,
Kopi, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Shefflo,
Sheffel, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Jarrett,
Starrett, yes.
Burgess,
Surgis, yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Wegman,
Yes.
Winnicke.
Yes.
That passes.
Okay, the minutes are approved. Now for public comment. I believe that we have 3 people who have signed up, but they're on zoning petitions, so I'll put those in the order when those petitions come up. If they're, and I'll leave that to John Martin to whether folks, want to answer questions or whether they want to make a statement. The 3 people who I have are Stason Ludwig, Pamela Turriff, and then Kathleen Dean. Are there any other people in the audience who would like to make public comment? Okay, we had a person who signed up, came. Unfortunately, his wife fell ill while he was here, and so he had to leave. And just for the record, Ron Mueller had signed up to speak this morning, president of Image Display. Okay, and Mr. Martin, is that acceptable to you as you take us through in a little while, as you take us through the zoning petitions? Mr. Martin, would that fit into what your plan would be this morning? You may have to unmute.
I had a technical difficulty. That's just fine.
Okay, all right, just wanted to be sure. Okay, as you can see, we have a number of presentations, a few discussions this morning. First, I'd like to ask Mark Van Kerkhoff to come forward. Marguerite Molly Millen, retired Regional Planning Commission member, is being recognized this morning for her service. So Mark, I'll turn it over to you.
Good morning. Molly Millen is about as beautiful a person as you'd ever want to meet. She's had a lifelong service to Kane County. If you'd like, I'd be happy to read the resolution briefly. Roger, we weren't expecting her, but if you could just double check in case she was able to join us by phone.
I do not see her in the participants.
Okay. So this is Resolution 2390, recognizing Marguerite Molly Millen for longtime service to the citizens of Kane County. Whereas Marguerite Molly Millen served on the Kane County Zoning Board of Appeals from January 2018 to September 2020. Whereas Molly Millen also served on the Kane County Regional Planning Commission from June 2007 to February of 2013. Whereas Molly Millen also served the residents of Kane County as a longtime employee of the County Development and Community Services Department eventually serving as the director of the zoning division. Whereas through her before-mentioned service, Molly Millen made significant contributions to the health, safety, and welfare of the residences and businesses of Kane County. And whereas in addition to her service to Kane County, Molly Millen has been active her entire life as a volunteer in the community, generously applying both her time, talents, and her heart for people. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Kane County Board recognizes and applauds the contributions and service of Molly Millen and desires to extend the county's best wishes for enjoyment and blessings in life. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Next on the agenda is a death resolution, unfortunately, but of one of our former members of this body. Leon Dan Ardeling was a board member. I'm sorry, we're picking up something from a phone. Okay. Oh, thank you, Roger. Leon Dan Ardeling was a member of this body, and this morning we are joined by his daughter, Cassie Smith. Cassie, if you'd come up, and Chris Ardeling, would you also come up here? And we have a presentation of a plaque that commemorates the service that your father. As some of you may know, Leon was a real character. I mean, it was wonderful to have his representation on this board. His wife, his daughter, wonderful person, Romanian background. So these folks understand, what a good stuffed cabbage tastes like. So, and Chris, if I'm not mistaken, you help us in the IT department. So thank you very much for that continuing service in your family. And Chris's grandson. So if you'd come on over, I'd like to read this plaque that recognizes Leon Ardeling's service. Whereas Leon Dan Ardeling was born October 25th, 1927 on Pigeon Hill in Aurora, Illinois. And whereas Leon served in the United States Army Air Force and Corps of Engineers from 1945 to 1947, where he was stationed at Sandia Base in Los Alamos and worked on the Manhattan Project. So that's really smart genes. So, whereas Leon's love for flying allowed him to attend flying school and soloed in 1942 at Tufts Edgecombe Aviation in Elgin, Illinois. And whereas Leon was a lifetime learner, mastered photography as an apprentice at Evan Photo Studio before the advent of strobe lights, digital cameras, and color photography. I am glad you brought your camera today, Cassie. He then decided printing was the way to go and learned printing business while working at several area printing plants where he received his journeyman card as a union printer. Leon eventually made his way to as printer at the Chicago Tribune in 1974, where he embarked on another journey by taking over McAvoy Press, managing the press, managing in the print world until he retired in 2018. Leon served on many boards, was a Kane County board member, District 3, Board of Trustees, Village of Shabanaw, Democrat Precinct Committeeman, River Valley Workforce Board, Third Ward Committee, Aurora Trades and Labor Assembly, and DuPage Building Trades, and many more. Whereas he's preceded in death by his wife of 55 years, and they were immigrants from Satu Mare din Kral de Rolt, Romania. Do I have that about right?
I think so.
Okay. Actually, I've been there, and it's the most lovely people, and it's just an amazing place where we all come from. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Kane County Board recognizes and applauds the contributions of Leon Dan Ardeling, passed by the County Board on November 10th, 2020. And may I have a motion to accept this? And so moved by Dr. Iqbal, second by John Hoshite. John, did you serve? I mean, you're a long-standing, did you serve with?
Yes, yes, Leon was on the board.
Good. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. I'd like to call a vote. So Celeste, would you go ahead and,
Ellen,
Ellen, aye.
Ferrero,
Ferrero, yes.
Davist,
Davis, yes.
Raz,
Raz, yes.
Hanson,
Hanson, yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Boscheit,
Yes.
Iqbal,
Yes.
Kenyon, did you arrive? Caius,
Caius, yes.
Opie,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Shefflo,
Shefflo, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Garrett, Barrett, Sturgis,
Sturgis, yes.
Thomas.
Yes, sorry.
Okay, I
Yes.
got you. Sturgis is yes. Thomas,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Wegman,
Yes.
Winnicki. Winnicki passes either way. Okay,
okay,
passes.
the motion passes unanimously. Thank you so much. By the way, Cassie Smith has a graphics design business in, I believe it's Montgomery, Illinois. And I'd like to put in a plug for a person who's a very conscientious and talented graphic artist. Okay, next on the agenda is Mike Baker. Mike Baker is the president, owner, group Alternatives. He has a brief presentation on what's the good work that's occurred over the past 3-4 years under the direction of the, it would be the Human Resources or the Human Services Committee, first under Bill Leonard, now Cliff Sturgis. So Mike, if you'd come forward to the podium, and I believe that there's maybe 3 slides, and literally the decision to bring on Mike Baker has saved millions of dollars for our taxpayers in a very difficult, complicated area. So Mr. Baker, thank you very much for coming today, and thank you very much for helping all of our constituents.
You're welcome. Thank you. It's great to see everyone. So we'll just do a brief summary just to recap. We get busy. There's elections, a lot of distractions, right? So just to highlight, the county hired Group Alternatives up in the top left corner there, August of 2017. We were hired on a project. And so in November of 2017, we added data analytics that enhanced your transparency to find out where costs were coming. And then in January of 2018, we switched the dental and vision and kept the benefits the same for the employees, and you saved $205,000 on the dental on a 2-year rate and $86,000 on the vision over 4 years. Then in April of 2018, we were working with the county on the renewal with IPBC, and just to hold we kind of helped with the transparency of the process, how the renewal worked, the timing. And I will point out, at that time, you were contemplating a switch to Aetna, and we stayed with IPBC. One of the things that had us remain with IPBC was they sent us a letter to the county stating you would have to pay them $1,346,000. So just remember that number. I'm going to highlight something in a second. So then in 2018, we did add telemedicine. One of the things that we found we could improve ER overutilization by adding telemedicine, and little did we know about the pandemic we're facing, which was a great service to have for your members so they could have virtual doctor visits through 2020. August of 2018, we added new analytics that added greater transparency for the county to find waste and ways to make the health plan more efficient so we don't have to see costs go up. Then we worked on the process. So in January of 2019, we delivered your initial renewal for the following July. And the county moved to Blue Cross Blue Shield on July 1st, 2019 on a direct basis, and that resulted in adding just over $1 million to your medical reserve fund, left your rates flat for the county and the employees. November of 2019, we assisted the HR department and the Human Services Committee on reviewing vendors to have benefit enrollment move from paper to virtual. And through that process, that was a huge win for the county in this current open enrollment season with the pandemic. So that project was success. Your HR team did tremendous work here. IT team did a tremendous amount of work, so kudos to all of them. In May of 2020, we also launched a new email campaign with your HR department on wellness. And every time we launched something new, we left our contract flat. We didn't come back and say we have a new service for the county. We need more money to perform that service. Our philosophy as an organization is when we improve services, all of our existing clients get it at the current contract we have with them. So July of 2020, this past July, we negotiated an 18-month rate with Blue Cross Blue Shield. So we are now going to be on that cycle where our next renewal from Blue Cross Blue Shield will be on January 1st of 2022. So we won't have a renewal this summer. We will be delivering the renewal, the initial renewal for 2022 in the May through June timeframe. So we've changed that process to sync that up with open enrollment for the employees. It syncs better with your budget that starts on December 1st. So we were able to accomplish that this past year. Also on July 1st of 2020, we moved retirees over to Humana, and that's going to save them money, and it saves the county about $334,000. So those are the accomplishments that we've been able to do with the county. It's a team effort. You have a wonderful team, so we just want to thank you for placing your faith in our organization. We look forward to building on this success. On the next slide, we'll just show you just a bar graph. The blue in 2017-18 was your cost per employee under IPBC. It was $14,112. That went up to $15,804 in July of 2018-19. And then the renewal that was delivered from IPBC was going to go to $16,296 per employee. And we actually had a cost of just under $15,000. So that was below what you paid the previous year. And we're projected at $15,737 for the current plan year. And that's right at or slightly below what you spent the last year with IPBC. So it's been it was a lot of work. It's a lot of moving parts. We had a lot of discussion. I think the discussion was worth it. So just to kind of summarize the savings. Now you'll notice it says IPBC reserve return. Again, remember 2 years ago, the trust wanted to have you give them a check for $1,346,000. I didn't understand their math. I still don't understand their math. However, last night we received from Dave Cook at IPBC an email saying you
want a drum roll?
So I had told board member Surgis that it'd be around $600,000. So he did yell at me yesterday when the email came in. I apologize. You're going to have a check or an ACH of $1,396,000 on December 1st.
You know what?
Put that in perspective, that's 1 month of your total funding of your healthcare budget. So that's 8.3% of your budget. When you add that, you're at 3.1 million in savings. So I know it wasn't easy always to hear our ideas, but we give you ideas and then you have to decide what's best for the county. So excellent work, and we look forward to building on that success. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you very much, Mike. If you'd indulge me for just a second more, how this happens is, you probably wonder, well, how did we come across a fellow like Mike Baker? What happened was that there was a meeting, Crane Chicago Business offered some healthcare experts meeting, 7:30 in the morning, downtown Chicago. On your behalf, I went in to visit. Mike is an outgoing guy. I try to be an outgoing guy, and naturally shook hands during the meeting. He said, do you mind if we get together so that we talk about the services? And there was something in his description that really stood out. And so I invited him out to Kane County to talk about it. And so it didn't cost you a penny, didn't put in any travel or staying the overnight to be there promptly at 7:15. And a little extra elbow grease, a little extra work, and then you find the nuggets of knowledgeable people. And so, Mike, thank you very much. And then after that, You had Bill Leonard as chairman of that committee, and now Cliff Surgis, and then Sylvia Wetzel. Thank you very much for helping always to assist that forward. Also, Roger, some of the things that we implement. That is about, that's between an 18 and a $20 million expense each year. So thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
Okay, next on the agenda is, it's with a sadness but a great joy to ask Barb Jeffers to come forward. Look, isn't that a nice picture of Barb? Barb, come on up. She's also the person who just turned off the lights. But
On her way out.
Barb Jeffers is going to be retiring now. And I do have a personal gift that I will be extending to you in a while. But I just wanted to take a moment this morning to thank and have you thank and recognize all the good work that Barb Jeffers has done. She is a delight. One of the things, first of all, her personality is bigger than life. It is just lovely. You are just a wonderful, magnetic person. She invited me to one of her staff meetings, and one of the first things that just like exploded into my consciousness about Barb Jeffers is that her team loves her and they support her. It's spectacular, and she's very deserving of that. And just to see that good teamwork, it's amazing. The other thing that you should know about Barb is that she is always on the job. It couldn't have been a harder last 7-8 months. And on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Unfortunately, something came up a couple of Saturday nights ago at about 8 o'clock. And it required that I called Barb because we were going to need some help. Sheriff had called and we needed to work out a problem. And I called Barb. And it's, you kind of cringe while you're making the call. So sorry, Barb, to call. And Barb answers the phone just as joyful and happy and professional. Hey, Chris, how can I help? Saturday night. So she and her husband, Sean, are just a couple from heaven. And so I would like to recognize and thank you. You are a wonderful person, and you have done great stuff for 532,000 people. We will miss you dearly.
Thank you so
Barb.
much.
Okay, so Barb. You're the public health director. Possible to give you a hug?
Less than 15 minutes.
That's right. Less than 15 minutes. Okay. So would you like to say? Here.
I would be remiss if I didn't thank all of the people that I have come across in these last 15 years, professionally and non-professionally. I've bonded in some friendship with many of you. More importantly, it has been such a rewarding experience to work in this community and do all the things that we've accomplished. And I didn't do them alone. I would never have said, and I thank you for all the accolades, but it takes a team of us, all of us. It takes all of us to contribute to the successes that we have for this community and the dedication that many of you have that really show your commitment to your constituents in our community. So I thank you. And last but not least, I want to thank Chris for him having the confidence and the belief in me that I could do this job for the last 8 years. So that has been a pleasure and a reward. So I want to thank each and every one of you who have come along the way and supported the public health. And it is not over. We're in for another ride, and we still will need all of you. Thank you.
Okay. Next, by any chance, do we have Dave Rickard either in the audience or on the phone this morning? Not seeing, not hearing. I would like to recognize there was a study, and I know that there was, points of view on it, but could you put up so there was an efficiency review report that was put out on the treasurers. I know that there were different perspectives on it, but you know that Terry Hunt produces factual statements in these reports. Could you put the next slide up? So with what's important here is even during the time of pandemic, you recall, everybody in this room recalls early on in March, April, when this was beginning, one of the panic points from some of the local taxing groups was that they weren't going to be able to collect property taxes because this was going to be a long enough slog. I don't know if people anticipated that it'd be November, but some people did. But the idea that we kept the mechanism so that schools could open if their boards decided, all those things, the idea of what does it cost to run the Kane County agency, the Treasurer's Department in this case, $1.37 versus you see the other comparatives. The next slide. And then this is just the last slide is just the growth. Let's see, I think this might be the number of parcels per employee as far as an efficiency comparison of the amount of work per employee. So a productivity measurement among, DuPage County, they're well-run. Lake County, well-run. Will and McHenry, all well-run counties. A lot of accolades, and Dave's performance in that area whoops them all. And so I know that he would give credit to his staff, and I'd like to recognize that's under very tough circumstances to sustain a job well done. I'd like to just applaud his work. Thank you. If you take that down, thank you, Blair. Next, I'd like to invite, let's see, Joe Onsick, and I think Patsy Clark, is she in the, there's Patsy Clark. Okay, Joe and Patsy, would you come up front and center? And let's see if I'm going to just do this from a little bit of memory. There's some days in your life, and we are very fortunate to have Corinne Parag, our Kane County Chairman elect, with us this morning. Corinne, would you stand up, please? So thank you for coming. There are some days in the life of a county chairman that you'd rather give to somebody else. And one of those days is when you find out that for a long period of time, maybe, I don't know, 17, 18 years, after 17, 18 annual audits by experts, that you're not withholding money, or you're withholding or not withholding? You're withholding income tax and Social Security on settlements for like worker comp claims. So it's something called PETA. Well, Joe, you're so gentle too when you bring, like the bad news, and you come over and say, well, how bad can this be? And you think, gosh, if it's $50,000, where are we going to find $50,000? And then if it's $500,000, you start to get dizzy on that. But then when you find in a conference call with your auditors and your labor folks that it's over $1 million, that they're saying, well, you know what this is going to cost the county taxpayers is over $1 million. That's not a good day, Corinne. So it's like you want to give that one to somebody else. But what happened then is that Joe took a look at all the assumptions that were being told by these experts. He went back to the Treasury regulations. And if you've ever read those, you can read about half a paragraph before you start snoring off. But we kept going through it. And Patsy says, we will do anything, everything that we can do to get this resolved. Well, by the time he was finished with those regulations, it wasn't $1 million loss that the experts, and a couple experts had told us it was going to cost us, generally speaking. It was about a $54,000 return. So that to me, a little bit miracle working. And I know that you would say, Joe, that it's because Patsy and Nina and all the staff members who do such a great job. We are so grateful for the consistent good work that you guys do. So thanks. Okay, so now as you guys are going back to the, and I also have, but on a personal level, Joe, I've got something for later on. But there's something else that I received in the last couple of days. I think it was toward the end of last week. And this is an important thing for our CAC group that's working so hard. Joe had sent me over a note. The reason why CAC was able to allocate $23 million of CARES funds to county payroll reimbursement, which is a really good move. That's very important that was taken care of. You know, the money's going out to local governments. You know, I know that that's very important, multi-MESC, right? So, and the reason why that payroll reimbursement was able to be allocated as one of the very first allocations was because Joe had accurately and confidently interpreted the U.S. Department of Treasury guidelines for payroll reimbursement well before anyone else did, and well before the final clarification to the guidelines. You probably all remember how things were shifting back and forth. Every time the initial group had a meeting, that afternoon by 5 o'clock, they'd issue new guidelines. And so whatever they had talked about in those meetings, they got it changed on them. So having all of us. So having the foresight to set aside $23 million and then having CAC take those decisions on their shoulders and do it will result in budgetary savings that will enable the county to weather the storm of COVID-19 related revenue declines in both the current and future fiscal years without tapping into our reserves. So you'll see that in a moment, just quickly, but that reimbursement of expense was every bit as good as if they had given us revenue replacement. Because you say, well, what does a government do with its revenue? You know, you don't distribute it out to shareholders, like maybe in a corporation. What it does is it goes to spending. And most of the spending here, naturally, payroll. And because that was recognized as so important, both by Joe, by others who led the way, and now by the CAC committee, very important. Ms. Parag, your responsibilities, your job will be not infinitely easier, but it will be substantially easier because of what's occurring in that committee now and how those allocations were covered. So, so that's really good. Okay, next is, oh, this is one of my favorites. Mark Armstrong, would you come on up here? I just, and this is only going to take a moment, but this is great. Do you know Mark Armstrong, beside being my favorite Scotsman, he knows more about everything than anybody I know. Well, maybe Ken Shepro, maybe. So he's actually written the book. When he goes and gives a class and you hear that, well, he's taken a vacation day to go and teach someplace in the state of Illinois on assessment law. Number one, he's written the law. I mean, that's where I first met him, as many of you know. So I'm coming down on an elevator, go out and play. I was going to go out and do a running workout. It's like 7:30, 7 o'clock in the morning in Springfield.
You were wearing biker shorts. It was,
yes, exactly.
It was unusual.
Yeah, but very handsome, right? Still, it's okay. So he's going to, he was coming down the elevator to go over to the Department of Revenue to do some of the negotiation that goes into laws. Well, this is one of the books that he's written 2 books, and this is the book that he teaches out of, and it's the one that he wrote. So we are very fortunate to have these talented people. Mark, you're a wonderful person. You've done a great job of giving us accurate information. And many of you have seen when there's a constituent question comes in, and if they want to really get into the detail, nobody can get into the detail better than Mark Armstrong. So thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you.
Okay, and Roger, I'd like to tell a story. Would you stand up for just a second? You can't say enough about Roger Fonstock and all the things that he does and how he manages his staff. Always helpful, never, oh, we can't do that. It's how we're going to do it. I had a Zoom call outside of this, outside of county business about a couple of weeks ago, and I went over to a company that's known for being top-notch equipment and software and experts. And, you know, it went fine, but there were a couple of hiccups along the way. Well, very interesting. I thought to myself, you know, those hiccups never occur when Roger is at that command center and when his staff, when, you know, Blair and Mark are working away at that. So, Roger, thank you very much. It's a wonderful thing that you do for all of us. Okay, now this morning we have the privilege of being joined by Judge Marmarie, and I love that first name. Is that French? No, I'm going to find out where Marmarie comes from. Kostelny. Oh, perhaps, is that your maiden name? Yes, okay, so you've gotten used to that. Marmarie, come on, Madam Judge, come on up. Would you help me with the flowers? If you'll put up the slide for, good. I think it's maybe a couple of times a year, Marmarie, Judge Kostelny will invite all of us over to graduation ceremonies. And I remember that when I went to the first one of these, oh, no, that's right. When I went to the first one of these, it was like maybe 18, 19 years ago. And I watched what you do. At that time, it was Jim Doyle. And, you know, starting the program, it was one of the first diversion programs where it's like, they talk about healing what's hurting inside and causing, you know, a root cause rather than punishing the behavior that comes out of pain. So I went home and I wrote a letter to the editor. And the idea was, if you don't believe in redemption, if you don't believe in second chances, if you think there's nothing you can do in this life that can get you back on track, you go to one of these graduations, you go and see her doing one of the Zoom calls even. I mean, in person, they're great. There's a lot of hugging, there's some tears, there's a lot of laughing and smiling. But what you do with staff and what you do in other people's lives is miraculous. And so if you don't believe in resurrection, you need to have a talk with this lady. So you're wonderful. So thank you so much, Judge. It's part of the good work that we all get to do together, and you lead up our effort. Now, did you want to say?
I just wanted
to.
So can I have that? I think I talked loudly enough.
Oh, I think that this is always helpful.
I just want to thank the county board for all the assistance you've provided to 20 years. I've had the pleasure of serving and presiding for 7 years. And every time, I said this to Chairman Lausen when he attended our most recent graduation, every time I've come to a county board meeting, you've welcomed me and you've encouraged me and you've supported us. And I want to do a particular shout out to Lisa Oss, our executive director, who's present today, for supporting our program. And most particularly the drug court coordinator, Alicia Klimke, if she'd wave, she's in the back. Alicia is the only person who was in drug court on the first day it started and is still with us 20 years later, and she deserves the special recognition. You have a really long meeting, but I have two things I want to share with you. When I started 7 years ago presiding, a county board member who still was on then and is still on today told me, you know, we'll support you, but you need to look elsewhere. And so I did. And my first year, we got a $1.2 million grant, and I came and I explained that. And 3 years later, we got a $400,000 grant. And just last month, I found out we're getting a $500,000 3-year grant for our program. So thank you for the encouragement and your continued support. But the last thing I want to say is, for those who didn't attend our Zoom graduation, you can still see it on YouTube. But a graduate, and Chairman Lausen will remember this, he said something that's really for you. He said, and I'm quoting, we transcribed it, There are a lot of people behind the scenes of this whole organization that you might not be aware of. I just want to say that I'm extremely grateful to everyone that are on the front lines and behind the scenes of this program. I want to thank the funders of this program, because without the money, this could never happen. And I want you all to know this program, it does work. There may be a certain amount of recidivism, but addicts fall down. But with this program, we learn to get up and we don't stay down. Without your financial help, this program wouldn't exist. And I just want you to know you touch a lot of lives with this. Not just my life, but everybody in my circle, my whole family tree, my friends. It's a wonderful thing to go through, and by no means is it easy. This is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. But that thank you was for you. So thank you very much.
One of the things that was said during this meeting that you would see if you go to that Zoom meeting was if you can have someone say this about you in the place that you've been given in authority, where it says, one of the graduates said of Judge Castelny, "I've never known anyone with so much authority that I respected and appreciated so much." Lincoln said, "Most men and women can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man or woman's character, give them power. And then you see what they're made out of." And thank you very much for exercising authority, natural, God good authority for the benefit of people. Okay, this is very interesting. Okay, if you'd put up the 2013-2021, there are a lot of things that we all agree on. There's some things that we don't agree on, but lots of stuff that we agree on. Ms. Parag, you might recognize a couple of these expressions. The idea about how important it is, and she's right, how important it is getting politics out of the budget. Partisan politics has no place in county government. We need to get politics out of the budget. She's right that there's no place for partisan politics. Go to the next. I just wanted to assure you, and that's the standard that you all set during this time, that Ms. Parag is setting going into the future. These are the votes. Oh, thanks. That was very effective. Who did that? Was that Roger? These are the budget votes over the last 8 years. And what it demonstrates is that 97%, you know, we have, in this time, we have 12 Democrats, we have 12 Republicans, all decent people are sent here by 25,000 people apiece. But one of the things that's brought together is that 97% of the time, they say yes together. So not partisan. If it were partisan, it should be right down the line about 12-12. It should be about 51% because we have to have a balanced budget. 97% statistic. So you have set a very high standard going forward to the future. Could you go to the last slide? And then further up where the chart is. I think that there might be a chart on the second. Yes, that one, down at the bottom. By the way, these statistics are courtesy of one of your next board members, Ken Shepro. So Ken, thank you very much for sharing these. I mean, it's very important to consider what it is that we do each day and what's actually happening when you sort out all the noise. And this is something that Ken brought to my attention, that the balance on the committees is more Democrats than Republicans. And later on, I'll show you just a quick slide on that it's been shared authority on the chairmanship of those. But so it's, you know, that's also been balanced. So next slide. Okay, you know, in just a little while, probably, you know, in the next 90 days, we're going to launch into the next future, the next 4 years under new leadership. in the board and new board members. So we have, that's going to be the future. Just want to flip through some slides very quickly. If you'll put up the next series. 32 years ago, yes, those. Or excuse me, 8 years ago, my predecessor went through, there was a very good presentation of all the things that had been accomplished in the previous 8 years. It was a very nice booklet, and it did cost $32,000. We're not going to cost a penny, just some of your time. We'll flip through about 5, 6 of these. This is the result of your discipline, your fiscal discipline, and all the cooperation that has occurred. And I think that it has set a standard of respecting taxpayer dollars. Next slide. I remember when I asked, why is it that we have that huge, increase in the property tax levies to run the county? And I was supposed to be assured, well, it's just nickels or dimes on your property tax. The schools are really the big problem. And I said, gosh, where I come from, Pigeon Hill, where Cassie Smith and Leon Arlene serve from, nickels and dimes count. And so with your fiscal discipline, with good leadership on the finance committee for all those 8 years, and John Hoshite held the line. So Kane County property tax, those nickels and dimes totaled up to $68.6 million, about 19% savings. Next slide. Okay, now when you combine both the Forest Preserve and the county, it's actually a decrease in the amount of the total tax levies for like $119 million in the pockets of our taxpayers, so we don't tax them out of their homes and they move to another state instead of in our coffers. Next. One of the things that very important, and the IMRF funding, even after they lowered it, the expectation on their money managers from 7.5% to 7.25, we still have a 90% full funding of the pension obligation. Next slide. The debt that's been decreased by about 67%. If you ask people on the street, what do you want to happen? Sometimes they'll say, I want my property taxes reduced. I made sure I never made that promise because unfortunately, if you say, well, we're going to do it by a nickel, they'll say that wasn't sufficient, you needed a dime. And so something that people can get behind and hold a defensive line is freeze it. And so, and then at the same time of freezing what's coming in, to be able to patiently pay down those obligations and to have good policy as far as the bond borrowing is good. So next. Okay, now this is an older slide, but it does get across the message of how important the work is going to be of when you put together the committee assignments and the leadership of the committee assignments. In the first 4 years, and this would have been the 5th and 6th year, it didn't matter which party you were, because however many Republicans or Democrats they were, that was proportionate to how many chairmen there were. So it was a shared authority. Didn't matter. It's competence, honest competence that matters. Doesn't matter if you're man, woman, it was proportionate representation, proportionate authority. And then ethnic, racial, demographics, to me, this is a little harder to define these days because, what the heck? But it was important, generally speaking, for majority members, proportionate authority or assignments to chairmanship as minority members. Next slide. Okay, and then balanced budgets, it is a demand from the people who we work for. Even if preliminarily it's $14 million that you got to find, well, I tell you, treat each other well, because in the end, those aren't the easiest votes. And finally, the last slide, thank you. This is the last slide in Joe Onsick's budget presentation, going into the future. Lots of stuff gets said in political campaigns about, well, we're tapping into reserves. Well, you know, the people who serve on this board know better, that that's not what's happening, because this is what your reserves look like going into the future. You have an emergency reserve left intact of 5.2 million, and then CARES Act savings, because that's been managed properly, 6.8 million. So $12 million is my, what do they call it, bequeath to you? It's a gift going forward, and let's see if we can husband that. I don't know when we're going to have an emergency any worse than a 100-year pandemic, but that's it in a nutshell. So if you take that off. Final item, actually the two final item for just discussion, the IMRF. You have decision to come up. Every member of IMRF has a decision because there's an election. There is a specific exemption in state statute that we can talk on company time about the IMRF election. So I'm not doing any campaigning that would be appropriate. I'm not scandalizing any of you, but it is important to know that there are the three categories of an executive trustee, employee trustee, and then annuitant. As you know from our last meeting, annuitant trustee, we have Louis Casiba. For any of your friends who are annuitants, he created the strength with everybody's support that is IMRF and the funding that we enjoy. I hope, and he's been endorsed by AFSCME, and that's a leg over a huge hurdle, a high hurdle. So hopefully he'll be elected. But you have three people who you can vote for. Can you go to the next slide? There are three people who you can vote for. Two have been endorsed by AFSCME and IEA, and that's a very powerful thing. A third person who's running is a fellow named Peter Stephan. And there's his telephone number if you want to, you know, ask him questions. I figure that proper representation is someone who's aligned with your goals. His goals in representing you as IMRF employees, and his background, by the way, he's the financial officer, he's the Joe Onsick of DeKalb County next door. Wonderful guy. When we had the problem with IMRF lowering the expectation on the money managers, Mark Petrosky, who's the chairman over there, gave a really good speech. I thought it was right to the point. And Peter Stephan was right there in support during that meeting. The three commitments that he's making: keep IMRF safe and separate from the state plans. If there's anything you got to protect, it's don't get wound into those problems. The other is require financial advisors and consultants do their job. That's the higher standard. He's in favor of the higher standard. And then he'd like to increase the outdated 3,000 death benefits. So honest competence with 45 billion. That's whoever you send is managing 45 billions of dollars. So you want somebody who's a finance director, 20 years of accounting finance background, administers all the benefit plans. He's the IMRF authorized agent for a long time over in DeKalb. So I would recommend that you give him consideration for your vote. That's it on that one. Now, finally, we have some audiovisual. I'm going to defer my short program that became in pieces kind of a long program, but I'm going to turn it over to Deb Allen, who has, I think it's a 2-minute flyover of the new multi-use facility. So I'll turn it over to Madam Chairman of Administration.
Thanks so much, and it's working. Good. Government builds slowly and not often. And we were fortunate enough and challenged enough to have this project come to Kane County. The administration committee was assigned the homework of the job. And we were not only slow, but we were deliberate and we were thoughtful. And I think I'd like to, because so many hours were put in, I'd like to say that that committee was Bill Leonard and John Martin and Mark Davist and Tom Copey and Drew, of course. And who did I leave out? And Chris Kites, of course. Chris, it'd be helpful if you were in the room. That's my doing. Um, Many hours, and the thoughtfulness was that we knew we needed to do a coroner's facility. We had never had a designated coroner's, a facility that was built to be a coroner's facility in Kane County. And because this was a target of opportunity, we decided that we would also fulfill some of the sheriff's needs that were not quite managed when the jail was built. And we'd also, for the first time, have a dedicated building management space. So those three things came together, and got to say, Mr. Hoshite helped with the money, pretty importantly, and Joanzik, and Roger Fonstock is always there when you need him and was all over this with us as well. So this is the bird's eye view of our new building. And Drew, do you want to walk us through it a little bit as we pass?
Sure. I guess at first I'd like to say that the progress has been nothing short of phenomenal. We had very good timing and starting last spring. Our general contractor, RC Wegman, was willing to actually get started on the site improvements, the earth moving, before they actually had a contract in hand, which bought us several weeks of time. Cordy & Clark is our architect. They've been fantastic to work with. But we have a construction team that meets weekly on site, and it's just been a pleasure to work with everybody. But we had one bout of rainy weather in the spring, but that was after the site had been completed, and we haven't looked back since. We have a phenomenal year of weather. Our subs have performed. We had very serious concerns about suppliers with COVID. If they had to shut down their facilities, would they be able to produce the materials we need? And none of that really came to pass. So as you can see, this video is probably a couple of weeks old at this point, but the windows are in right now, the roof's on, overhead doors are going in. All that pavement area you see now is fully paved and striped. And it's really important to acknowledge that as we go into the winter weather and we're doing our build out on the inside of the building, those contractors will be able to pull in there, park in a regular parking spot, go into a heated building that's fully enclosed. And when you have that, subcontractors that are warm and comfortable and out of the weather, and their materials aren't ice cold, you end up with a very high quality level of work and very productive work schedules. So we fully anticipate to complete the building on schedule or likely ahead of schedule. And again, it's been a pleasure to work with the committee and everybody involved. So we're really excited about it, and it takes care of a multitude of needs. A lot of people refer to it as the new coroner's office, but that's really the smaller percentage of the building. The entire center area is the sheriff's emergency vehicle storage and special unit storage.
Can I break in? What you're seeing right here is the coroner's area, including the Sally Port. Yeah. We wanted to have a safe place for our staff to be bringing people's loved ones. No, go right back you go.
Yeah, so the Sally Port, the coroner will be able to pull up to 2 vehicles inside, shut the doors, and be out of the weather and unload their vehicles, which they haven't been able to do in quite some time. But the entire center portion there is the sheriff, and then what you're seeing right there is the building management office to the north side and bays to the south. And again, for the first time, they'll be able to pull some of their equipment inside, store it inside, thaw out snow plows during a storm and so forth. So we're ready to go, and it's going to be a great day when we cut the ribbon. So thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And I asked the chairman if we could please include this meeting as this board. This board is able to put this together, and Chairman Lausen, this is your baby. Mike McCoy built the Veterans Memorial and the pervious driveway facility and so on. Chairman McConaughey had the responsibility for the jail and the sheriff's office. And this is something that we've been waiting for 20 years. And you're the one who made it come together and with appropriate funding. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Everybody on this board understands, it's an inside piece of humor that would be then, 1/3 of the property, coroner's office, sheriff, and then administration. So I just appreciate all the good work that goes in. It was done properly and deliberately. So I believe, in just summarizing, we'll go to zoning petitions next. Your leadership and principles matter. Think about all that good that is reviewed there. And these are historical facts. They are not like somebody's opinion. They're facts of what you've produced. Think about having produced those results as a team within the trouble that is the state of Illinois finances. You think about that. I mean, maybe some of you folks like Barbara Hernandez should go down to Springfield and straighten them out down there. So thank you very much.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. This
Yes,
is
Mr.
Bill
Leonard.
Leonard. Before we get into zoning, I was wondering if I could take 1 or 2 minutes just to state a few facts about your leadership over the last 8 years.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Leonard.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to tell everybody that these are not opinions or facts. And during an 8-year term, there are always conflicts with personalities and concerns and well-beings of people on any board at all, as we've had here in the last 8 years. However, in the last 8 years, I just want to bring up about 6, 7 quick facts that are facts, not opinions. One is, over the last 8 years, we've had no tax increase at all. We've had a frozen tax levy. And as was said earlier, this equated to a $68.6 million savings for our taxpayers. The second thing is I wanted to point out how important our salaries and benefits are to the employees. And over this last 8 years, we've fully funded the IMRF and SLEP retirement funds to a level of 90% or higher, which is much, much higher than most government entities. We've also been able to maintain a 2% annual salary increase each year and keep our benefits very high for our employees, our very valued employees. The other thing that's happened under Chairman Lawson's reign is we have retired a little bit over $70 million in debt. We've secured bond interest rates as low as 1.45. And as Mr. Baker stated earlier, in the last 4 years, we've got an additional $3 million in savings in benefits to our employees. The other thing that we've done in the last 8 years under the leadership of Chairman Lawson is we've been able to build this new multi-use facility building at a cost of a little over $13 million. And because of our strong financial statement, we were able to get a bond at 1.45%, which created a situation where we could build this building without any additional cost to taxpayers. And lastly, I'd like to say that Chairman Lawson is leaving the county not only in a very strong financial position, but also with a $12 million reserve, as was stated earlier. So I want to thank you, Mr. Lawson, for your leadership over the last 8 years and wish you the best in all your future endeavors. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks very much. On zoning petitions, I'd like to turn it over to John Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have 3 petitions today, and we also have registered speakers. And what I request, because of my lack of visual ability this morning, is that I will ask speakers at each hearing to step forward, and I would like someone to assume the responsibility of telling me whether or not there's someone at the microphone. So the first petition is petition 4559. It's filed in Big Rock Township by Tom and Joan Patterman for property commonly known as 46 West 428 and 46 West 250 Wheeler Road. The rezoning sought is from F District Farming to F District Rural Residential. There was no applicable commission jurisdiction and Regional Plan Commission jurisdiction. The Zoning Board recommended approval, and the Development Committee also recommended approval. And so I, at this point, move for approval of this petition and request a second.
Okay, let's see, the second was Mr. Surges.
Okay, do we have any speakers that would want to address this petition?
Okay, yes, we have someone coming to the lectern. If you'd introduce yourself with your address, that'd be great.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Stason Ludwig at 4S 516 Florence Road. I'm the petitioner on this zoning, and I'm available to answer any questions that the board might have.
Thank you. Then we'll hold your place open in the event there are any questions. And to that point, does the committee or does the board have any questions at this point in time?
I see none.
Hearing none and being advised that there are none in the room, would the clerk please call the roll?
Ellen,
Allen, aye.
Ferrero,
Ferrero, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Raz, Hanson,
Hanson, yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Oshite,
Yes.
Iqbal. Not here. Kenyon, did you ever arrive?
Kenyon, yes.
Oh, thank you. Caius,
Caius, yes.
Copey,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Shefflo,
Shefflo, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Starrett,
Starrett, yes.
Surges,
Surges, yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Wegman, Winnicki. Passes.
Thank you. Motion carries. The petition stands approved. The second petition is petition number 4560, filed regarding property in Blackberry Township by Rick and Mary Thielen. The property involved is commonly known as 44 West 080 CV Road. The rezoning sought is from F1 District Rural Residential to E1 District Estate Residential. There was no applicable Regional Plan Commission jurisdiction. The zoning board voted to recommend approval with two conditions. The development committee voted approval and adopted those two recommended stipulations. Before we ask for speakers, I've been advised that we have received an email from one of the adjoining neighbors wanting confirmation that the proposed construction will not interfere with the floodplain, and I would ask either Jody Wolnick or Mark Van Kerkhoff to address that issue for us, please.
Okay, Jody is coming to the podium.
Thank you. We've reviewed in detail the neighboring property owners' concerns and feel that they will be able to be addressed during the site grading review as we typically do for new residential properties. And I'm here to answer any additional questions that might be had.
Okay, are there any questions of Ms. Wolnick? Hearing none.
Seeing none.
Do we have a speaker in the audience to address this petition?
Only for answering questions.
Okay, then is there any comment or discussion from members of the board?
Mr. Fraz raised his hand.
Hey, John, I would just like to, I don't know if you had a motion and a second on this?
Well, to clarify, if I haven't done it, I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Second.
Fraz seconds. This is in my district and I do support it. I read the email we got late yesterday, but I am very confident in the stipulations that were put on it by the ZBA and Water Resources Department, and I support it and suggest the board support it also. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Ellen,
Allen, aye.
Ferrero,
Ferrero, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Raz,
Yes.
Hanson,
Hanson, yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Oshite,
Yes.
Iqbal, Kenyon,
Kenyon, yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Copey,
Opie, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Shefflo,
Shefflo, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Starrett,
Starrett, yes.
Burgess,
Surges, yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Wegman. Yes. Winnicki. All right, that passes.
Thank you. Motion carries. The petition stands approved. The final petition before us today is in St. Charles Township. It's filed by ETO Chicago LLC regarding property commonly known as 6 North 518 Route 25 in St. Charles Township. The proposed rezoning is from B1 District Business and F District Farming to B3 District Business with a special use for storage and equipment and vehicles. There was no applicable Regional Plan Commission recommendation. The zoning board voted to recommend approval with conditions attached. The development committee adopted those recommendations in its recommendation to approve and included considerations basically bearing upon adjoining property owners. You may recall that this was on the agenda and then taken off at the recent past meeting because we had not yet had formal notification that the property owner had addressed all issues raised by the Owners Association, and we have since had confirmation that there is accord. Frankly, I want to compliment the both parties for having reached that accord. And that being done, do we have any speakers in the audience that want to address this issue?
Lady coming to the podium. Would you
Yes,
introduce yourself?
my name is Pamela Turiff. I am the president of the Homeowners Association for Saddle Ridge. And I did want to just come by and say that, yes, we have reached an agreement with the ETO Corporation. And we look forward to being good neighbors and hope they look forward to being our neighbors as well.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for your efforts.
Sure.
That being said, before I ask for board comment, I will move approval of this petition and request a second.
Davis, second.
Are there any comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Barrero,
Ferrero, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Raz,
Yes.
Hanson,
Hanson, yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Hoshite,
Yes.
Iqbal, Kenyon,
Kenyon, yes.
Caius,
Bias, yes.
Copey,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Shefflo,
Shefflo, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Starrett,
Starrett, yes.
Burgess,
Surges, yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Wegman,
Yes.
Winnicki. Passes.
Thank you. That petition will then stand approved. And Mr. Chairman, this concludes today's hearings.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Martin. In a very peculiar way, this next introduction fits perfectly into going to the fiscal year. Actually, okay. Do you have it, Blair? Thank you very much. Fits perfectly just as we go into the fiscal year 21 budget ordinance and resolution. I would like to introduce, with your indulgence, I'd like to introduce my wife, Sarah, who's been here. Many of you recognize the long-suffering 30 years of anybody to put up with me. Sarah, would you please stand up? At least I'm going to give you that. My life and the mother to our children. Sarah has told me, and this is how it fits into going into the budget. Sarah has always told me that the good looks and brains in our children come from the mom side of the family. I'll know that's true. But I always say to her, but at least I was smart enough to marry you, Sarah. So thank you, Sarah. And that fits perfectly into going into the budget. and turning the program over to John Hoshite. Here's a case where, I think that anybody who's been paying attention for any part of the last 8 years recognizes what a terrific job John does. And so it's like, we were smart enough. So the good looks and brains, the budget operation in that finance committee comes from that John Hoshite. And at least all of us were smart enough to recognize and then support the work with votes. So with that, I'll turn it over to John Hoshite.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a number of resolutions that require roll call votes, so I'll go through these in order. First is Resolution 20-391, adopting the 2021 annual appropriations. I'll move that.
Second. Fries seconds.
Thank you.
If there's no discussion, clerk, call the roll.
Ellen,
Allen, aye.
Ferrero, Davis,
Yes.
Raz.
Yes.
Hanson,
Hanson, yes.
Hernandez. Yes. O'Shea,
Yes.
Iqbal, Kenyon,
Kenyon, yes.
Tyus,
Yes.
Opie,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Shefflo,
Sheffel, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Starrett,
Starrett, yes.
Surgis,
Burgess, yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Weber, Wegman,
Yes.
Winnicki, I'm assuming you're not here. Passes.
All right, next I'll move 20-392, which is the tax levy for the general fund. Is there a second?
Weber will second.
Mr. Weber seconds. Discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Ellen,
Allen, aye.
Ferrero, Davis,
Yes.
Raz,
Yes.
Hanson,
Hanson, yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
O'Shea,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Kenyon, yes.
Tyus,
Yes.
Opie,
Opie, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin, Martin,
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Martin, yes.
Thank you. Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Shefflo,
Sheffel, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Starrett,
Starrett, yes.
Surgis,
Burgess, yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Wegman.
Yes.
It passes.
Next, I'll move 20-393, which is the levy for the insurance liability fund. Is there a second?
Leonard, seconds.
Mr. Leonard seconds. Discussion. Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Ellen,
Allen, aye.
Davis,
Yes.
Raz,
Yes.
Hanson,
Hanson, yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
O'Shea,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Kenyon, yes.
Tyus,
Yes.
Opie,
Opie, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Shefflo,
Sheffel, yes.
Silva,
Silva, no.
right, Starrett, Okay. Surgis,
Burgess, yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Wegman.
Yes.
Okay, that passes.
Next, I'll move 2394, which is the levy for the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund. Is there a second?
Fries seconds.
Leonard, second.
Okay, Mr. Fries seconds. Discussion. Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Ellen,
Allen, aye.
Davis,
Yes.
Raz,
Yes.
Hanson,
Hanson, yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
O'Shea,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Kenyon, yes.
Tyus,
Yes.
Opie,
Opie, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Shefflo,
Sheffel, yes.
Silva,
I'm
Silva?
sorry, I have a lag. This is IMRF 394, correct?
Yes.
My vote is yes.
Starrett?
Yes.
Okay, Surges?
Burgess, yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Wegman?
Yes.
It passes.
Celeste,
Yes.
I have voted yes on all of those. I'm not sure if you could hear me. I was trying to switch to my phone, but apparently it wasn't working.
Okay, so for 394, you have a yes?
Yes. All of these that have been on finance so far, I have
Okay.
a yes vote.
Okay. Let me do this. So we're going on 391, 392, 393, and 394. You voted yes. Correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, thanks.
All right, next I'll move 20-395, which is the levy for the Social Security Fund. Is there a second?
Leonard seconds.
Leonard seconds. Discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen?
Allen, aye.
Barrero?
Ferrero, yes.
Davist?
Davist, yes.
Raz?
Raz, yes.
Hanson?
Hanson, yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Hoshite?
Yes.
Kenyon?
Kenyon, yes.
Caius?
Caius, yes.
Copey?
Yes.
Leonard?
Leonard, yes.
Martin? Martin? Molina?
Martin, yes.
Thank you. Molina?
Molina, yes.
I'm looking for Molina. Your vote?
Molina is a yes. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Sanchez?
Yes.
Shefflo?
Sheffler, yes.
Silva?
Silva, no.
Starrett?
No.
Surges?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Wegman?
Yes.
That passes.
Next, I'll move 20-396, which is the levy for the County Highway Fund. Is there a second?
Second by Fraz.
Fraz seconds. Discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen?
Allen, aye.
Barrero?
Ferrero, yes.
Davist?
Davist, yes.
Raz?
Yes.
Hanson?
Hanson, yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Hoshite?
Yes.
Kenyon?
Kenyon, yes.
Caius?
Caius, yes.
Copey?
Opie, yes.
Leonard?
Leonard, yes.
Martin?
Martin, yes.
Molina?
Molina, yes.
Sanchez?
Yes.
Shefflo?
Sheffler, yes.
Silva?
Silva, yes.
Starrett?
Yes.
Surges?
Surges, yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Wegman?
Yes.
That passes.
Next, I'll move 2397, which is the levy for the County Bridge Fund. Is there a second?
Second by Fraz.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen?
Allen, aye.
Barrero?
Ferrero, yes.
Davist?
Davist, yes.
Raz?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Hoshite?
Yes.
Kenyon?
Kenyon, yes.
Caius?
Caius, yes.
Copey?
Yes.
Leonard?
Leonard, yes.
Martin?
Martin, yes.
Molina?
Molina, yes.
Sanchez?
Yes.
Shefflo?
Sheffler, yes.
Silva?
Silva, yes.
Starrett?
Garrett, yes.
Surges?
Burgess, yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Wegman?
Yes.
That passes.
Next, I'll move 2398, which is the levy for the County Highway Matching Fund.
Second by Fraz.
Mr. Fraz seconds. Discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen?
Allen, aye.
Barrero?
Ferrero, yes.
Davist?
Davist, yes.
Fraz?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Hoshite?
Yes.
Kenyon?
Kenyon, yes.
Caius?
Caius, yes.
Copey?
Yes.
Leonard?
Yes.
Martin?
Martin, yes.
Molina?
Molina, yes.
Sanchez?
Yes.
Shefflo?
Sheffler, yes.
Silva?
Yes.
Starrett?
Garrett, yes.
Burgess?
Burgess, yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Wegman?
Yes.
That passes.
Next, I'll move 2399, which is the levy for the Kane County Health Fund. Is there a second?
Hanson seconds.
Hanson seconds. Discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Barrero,
Yes. Ferrero, yes.
Davist,
Davist, yes.
Braz,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
O'Shea,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Kenyon, yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Opie,
Yes. Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Shefflo,
Sheffler, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Jarrett,
Jarrett, yes.
Surges,
Burgess, yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Wegman.
Yes.
It passes.
Next, I'll move 20-400, which is the levy for the Veterans Commission Fund. Is there a second?
Weber will second.
I would like to second that. Kenyon.
I'll let Kenyon take a second.
Okay, Kenyon seconds. Discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Barrero,
Ferrero, yes.
Davist,
Davist, yes.
Braz.
Yes.
Hang on one second. Hanson,
Hanson, yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. O'Shea,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Opie,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Shefflo,
Sheffler, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Starrett,
Jarrett, yes.
Surges,
Burgess, yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Wegman.
Yes.
Okay, that passes.
Next is 20-401. I'll move it. This is the Mill Creek Special Service Area levy.
Second by Franz.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Barrero,
Ferrero, yes.
Davist,
Davist, yes.
Braz,
Yes.
Hanson,
Hanson, yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
O'Shea,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Kenyon, yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Opie,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Shefflo,
Sheffler, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Starrett,
Jarrett, yes.
Surges,
Burgess, yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Wegman.
Yes.
Passes.
Next, I'll move 2402, which is the levy for Shirewood Farm Special Service Area. Is there a second? Mr. Surges seconds. Discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Barrero,
Ferrero, yes.
Davist,
Davist, yes.
Braz,
Yes.
Hanson,
Hanson, yes.
Yes.
O'Shea,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Kenyon, yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Opie,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Shefflo,
Yes.
Silva,
Yes.
Starrett,
Jarrett, yes.
Surges,
Burgess, yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Wegman.
Yes.
That passes.
Next, I'll move 20-403, which is the levy for Wildwood West Special Billing Area. Is there a second? Mr. Sanchez seconds. Discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Barrero,
Ferrero, yes.
Davist,
Davist, yes.
Braz,
Franz, yes.
Hanson,
Hanson, yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
O'Shea,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Kenyon, yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Opie,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
I'll take that as a yes. Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Shefflo,
Yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Starrett,
Jarrett, yes.
Burgess,
Burgess, yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Wegman.
Yes.
Passes.
Next, I'll move 20-404, which is the levy for Chevelle de Selle Special Billing Area. Is there a second?
Ross seconds.
Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Barrero,
Ferrero, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Raz,
Yes.
Hanson,
Hanson, yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Oshite,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Copey,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Shefflo,
Yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Sterrett,
Sterrett, yes.
Sturgis,
Burgess, yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Wegman.
Yes.
Passes.
Next, I'll move 20-405, which is the levy for Plank Road Estates Special Billing Area. Is there a second? Mr. Surges seconds. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Barrero,
Barrero, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Raz,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Oshite,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Copey,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
I'm sorry,
That's it.
Martin, yes.
thank you. Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Shefflo,
Yes.
Silva,
Yes.
Sterrett,
Sterrett, yes.
Surgis,
Burgess, yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Wegman.
Yes.
That passes.
Next, I'll move 20-406, which is the levy for Exposition View Special Billing Area. Is there a second?
Hanson seconds.
Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Barrero,
Ferrero, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Raz,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Oshite,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Copey,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Shefflo,
Yes.
Silva,
Yes.
Sterrett,
Sterrett, yes.
Surgis,
Burgess, yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Wegman.
Yes.
Passes.
Next, I'll move 20-407, which is the levy for Pasadena Drive Special Billing Area. Is there a second?
Ross seconds.
Raz seconds. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Barrero,
Ferrero, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Raz,
Yes.
Hanson,
Hanson, yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Oshite,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Kenyon, yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Opie,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Shefflo,
Yes.
Silva,
Yes.
Sterrett,
Sterrett, yes.
Surgis,
Burgess, yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Wegman.
Yes.
That passes.
Next, I'll move 20-408, which is the levy for Tamara Dittman Special Billing Area. Is there a second?
Ross seconds.
Mr. Frost seconds. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Barrero,
Ferrero, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Raz,
Yes.
Hanson,
Hanson, yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Oshite,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Kenyon, yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Opie,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
okay, Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Shefflo,
Yes.
Silva,
Yes.
Sterrett,
Sterrett, yes.
Surgis,
Burgess, yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Wegman.
Yes.
That passes.
Next, I'll move 20-409, which is the levy for Crane Road Estates Special Billing Area. Is there a second?
Davis moves.
Davis seconds. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, I.
Guerrero,
Guerrero, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Raz,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Hoshite,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Kenyon, yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Opie,
Yes.
Leonard. Mr. Leonard. Okay, Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Shefflo,
Yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Starrett,
Starrett, yes.
Burgess,
Burgess, yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Wegman.
Yes.
That passes.
That's the end of the budget ordinances and resolutions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Hoshite. I'd also like to thank Joe Onsick and his entire staff and all the people on the board and the department directors, the countywide elected officials for their cooperation and help in putting together this important annual budget. Okay, so on the consent agenda, is there anyone who would like to take anything off the consent agenda? Mr. Hanson?
Item number 425, the authorization of retention of Corrigan and Clark.
Okay, Mr. Hanson, 2425. Okay. Others?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Caius?
Caius would like to remove 20-436.
Okay, 436, Mr. Caius. Okay, thank you. Any others? Seeing none, hearing none, I'd like to ask for a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda with the exceptions of 425 and 436. So moved by Mr. Hoshite, second by Mr. Fraz. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Allen,
Allen, I.
Guerrero,
Guerrero, yes.
Yavist,
Davis, yes.
Raz,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hernandez, Hoshite,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Kenyon, yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Opie,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez. Gone, okay. Shefflo,
Sheffo, yes.
Silva,
Yes.
Starrett,
Starrett, yes.
Burgess,
Burgess, yes.
Thomas. Yes. Weber,
Yes.
Wegman.
Yes.
Okay, that passes.
Okay, that motion passes, the consent agenda passes. I'd like to ask for a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2389, authorizing an agreement with Employment Employer Services to deliver WIOA on-the-job training services. I'm going to call on Mr. Weber to move that.
I'll move it.
Second.
And second by Ms. Thomas. So moved by Mr. Weber, second by Ms. Thomas. Any discussion? Seeing none? Any from anybody on the phone? Hearing none? The clerk call the roll. And Celeste, let me just say what a great job you're doing today. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, for 425, Allen.
Allen, I.
Wait.
I'm sorry.
He
This
called
is 389.
39.
What was it?
He called 389.
389.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
My fault. I'm going to come back.
389.
Thank you, Mr. Hanson. Appreciate it.
And who moved and seconded it? I'm sorry. I went blank.
Thomas.
It was Ms.
Moved,
Thomas.
second.
Okay, got it. Okay, Allen,
Allen, I.
Barrero,
Guerrero, yes.
Davist,
Davis, yes.
Raz,
Yes.
Hanson,
Hanson, yes.
and is not here. Hoshite,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Opie,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Shefflo, Silva,
Silva, yes.
Starrett,
Starrett, yes.
Burgess,
Burgess, yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Wegman.
Yes.
Passes.
Okay, motion passes. I'm going to backtrack a little. I'm going to ask for a motion and a second to discuss and potentially pass number 20, 425. Mr. Hoshait moves, second by Mr. Surgis. Mr. Hanson, I believe that you'd like to speak on this.
Good morning and thank you. My concern is not with
I think you might want to turn on the, is the green light on?
it's on.
I'm very sorry. Okay.
Good morning and thank you. The concern is not with the caliber of work that Corrigan Clark has done for our county over the years. My concern is that they've had an 8-year no bid contract for some time, and it appears within the last several weeks there's been a contribution made on behalf of Corrigan Clark to the political fund of Friends of Lousen, and that was dated on October the 26th. The amount was $2,500. That amount alone is a violation or a potential violation of our ethics ordinance under section 3.3. And to me, the more curious part is the timing. This went through the administrative committee with the proper documentation indicating that Corrigan Clark had not made any political contributions in the last year. And since then, they've made a pretty hefty one to Friends of Lousen. And knowing that, frankly, the chairman does get involved with political races within the county board seats, including people that have a vote on this contract or not, I think it's completely inappropriate. Also, it would also be a violation, in my opinion, subject to review of the contract disclosure item number 1, which can be found on the purchasing department's website. So at the end of this meeting, I will be formally asking our ethics advisor to look into this. And should we vote on it today, I'm asking you to vote no, but I think probably the more appropriate thing is to table it and let the next board review this next month. At the conclusion of what, again, I will happily initiate a ethics ordinance violation inquiry with the appropriate parties.
Okay. Okay. So, Mr. Hanson, happy to, if it's the will of the board, I don't think that this is something that needs to be hurried through today. So if that is a motion to table, I'd entertain it. First of all, I'd like to make it clear that it is not a violation of the ethics ordinance, but we'll have people who are more lawyer than I am or you are to get that sorted out. And it's certainly your prerogative to make that assertion.
I mean,
So,
I'm happy to continue the discussion, but I don't think it's appropriate to vote on it today.
understood. So would you like to make a motion to table this? Or actually, let's say postpone the consideration of this item to the next board meeting after you've taken the various actions that you think are appropriate?
Unless there's other discussion first.
Okay, so no motion to table, okay.
I mean, if the discussion's complete, I'll make a motion to table.
Anybody have discussion? Mr. Copey first and then Miss Allen
Is there
second.
a second on the motion?
Let's see.
I'll second.
Okay, so now let's see. The motion was,
The table, if there's a second, then there's no debate on a motion to table.
okay, but did you make a motion or not?
I was making a motion. I don't know if Mr. Copey was rising to continue the discussion or second the motion.
Okay, I understand
made the
that
motion.
you've made a motion. I understand, I listened closely. And Mr. Copey, you seconded that motion. And so the clerk will call the roll.
Point of order.
Excuse me. Just to clarify, you didn't stand and say, I second the motion. Someone said, are you seconding the motion? I mean, did you have a comment or a
But-
question?
I did stand to make a comment if it was open for discussion, but then I realized there was no second, so I seconded the motion.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Copey, for the clarification.
Point of
Okay,
order.
clerk-
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Shefflow?
Yes. I had to step away. What resolution is being discussed?
425. So that's authorizing retention of Cording Clark and Associates. And Mr. Hanson has made a motion to table, and then Mr. Copey has made a motion, or has seconded that motion. So now the clerk will call the roll.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is to table.
Yes.
Ellen,
No.
Ferrero,
Yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Raz,
Raz, yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hernandez. Sorry. Oshite,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Kenyon, yes.
Caius. The table.
Caius, yes.
Copey,
Yes.
Leonard.
No.
I'm sorry.
Leonard, no.
Okay, thank you. It's a no. Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Shefflo,
No.
Silva,
Yes.
Starrett,
Starrett, yes.
Burgess,
Burgess, yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Wegman.
Yes.
I'm sorry, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. That passes
Wait, the winds have
Okay,
changed.
so that resolution is tabled.
3 days.
Okay, thank you, Celeste. Next, may I have a motion and a second to discuss and potentially pass number 2436, approving the agreement on the electronic transaction consultants for Long Meadow Parkway. We have motion by Mr. Fraz, second by Mr. Surgis. Let's see, this was Mr. Caius. Mr. Caius, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This shouldn't take more than 5 or 10 minutes. 20-436, approving an agreement with the electronic transaction consultants of Richardson, Texas for Long Meadow Parkway Toll Bridge Back Office System. After all of the great talk about saving all this money, this seems like and the great management over the county, this seems like a fly in the ointment. This resolution seems appropriately named. It's a backroom deal that the county board is making with a back office company called ETC. The backroom deal that will cost $7,778,497.35. And that's not all. This $7 million plus is only a portion of the amount it will cost just to start the collection of the tolls on the Long Meadow Parkway. I say a portion because I'm sure you recall that in September of this year, this board passed resolution 20-300. 20-300 is an agreement with A to B, that's the name of the company. Apparently cute names are popular with this type of thing, which is a deal for the design, installation, operation, and maintenance of a toll collection system for the Long Meadow Parkway Bridge. That agreement was for $4,664,415.92. The total of those two resolutions is for a whopping $12,442,913.27. These are expenses that do not add 1 square foot of payment to carry the cars or plant 1 tree of the thousands that were cut down to make way for this roadway and bridge. These fees, plus almost half of every dollar collected, will be used just to collect money. The money to pay for building the bridge, and then after that, another 10 years, I believe some $26 million for maintenance of the bridge. Because remember, twice as much money will have to be taken from my neighbors because almost half of every dollar goes just to collection. Seems ironic, doesn't it? We are agreeing to pay over $12 million just to get started collecting the tolls. It's ironic that the same board that congratulates our treasurer, and rightly so, our chief financial officer, our insurance associates who saved us millions of dollars, is willing to pay, that same board agrees to pay almost 50% of the money taken on Long Meadow Bridge just to collect the tolls. I frankly can't understand why that is. I can only deduce that they're not opposed to big taxes or big user fees. They're just opposed to big taxes or user fees that they have to pay. I asked who has to pay for the maintenance of Long Meadow Parkway Bridge. The answer, residents of northern Kane County. Who has to pay for the Fabian Parkway Bridge? All residents of Kane County, including residents in the north end of the county. Now, I don't like any kind of tollway. Tolls are regressive taxation. The kid who drives his beat-up Nissan to work at McDonald's for minimum wage pays the same as a stockbroker who drives his BMW to work in the city. In fact, I think some serious hypocrisy reared its head when I proposed earlier this year in committee that we put tolls to pay for maintenance on bridges in southern and central Kane counties. Some members of this board called that proposal ridiculous. Why? Because for some reason the user fee shouldn't be placed on those bridges? Somehow they are exempt? I don't think so. No, I think it's because they'd have to explain it to their constituents. So their position is okay on tolls on northern Kane County bridges, not okay on bridges in their area. The biggest irony was that some of the candidates used my proposal in their campaign literature. My proposal to put tolls on the remaining Kane County bridges. A proposal I used just to show the hypocrisy of the chairman and the board members. So these candidates printed and distributed materials that claimed that their opponents would vote to toll all Kane County toll bridge. What a joke. There's only one board member who has voted against tolls over the Fox River more times than I have, and he's a Democrat. So while I'm opposed to road tolls in general, and certainly opposed to any toll on any bridge over the Fox River, I do believe in recognizing those who are most responsible for supporting the Long Meadow Bridge and toll. And in that spirit, I move that we amend this resolution to rename the Long Meadow Parkway Bridge the Honorary Christopher Lowson Toll Bridge. I will be, I'm putting that before the board.
Okay.
Thank you.
So moved by Mr. Caius to amend the title of Long Meadow Parkway. Do we have a second?
Toll Bridge.
I'll second that. I like that.
Okay, Mr. Copey, in that spirit. So seconded by Mr. Copey. So we have amended. Okay, so now we have a motion and a second discussion on the naming of the bridge. You know, I've never had a bridge named after me.
Congratulations, maybe.
It has to survive the vote. So let's see, any discussion? Seeing none, do I hear any on the phone? Hearing none, clerk call the roll.
This is on the amendment.
This is on the amendment. This is the naming of the bridge. Chris Lawson.
Ellen, no.
Barrero,
I love you, Chris, but I don't agree with that title. No.
okay. Davis,
Davis, no.
Fries,
No.
Hanson,
No.
Hernandez. Hang on. Hoshite,
No.
Kenyon,
No.
Caius,
Yes.
Copey,
Copey, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, no.
Molina,
Molina, no.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Shefflo,
No.
Silva,
No.
Starrett,
Starrett, no.
Surges,
Sturgis, no.
Thomas,
No.
Weber,
No.
Winnicki, I'm sorry, Wegman.
No.
Okay, that fails. With 4 ayes.
I say this in humor, darn. So, so thank you. Let's see, so the amendment fails.
Okay.
So further discussion on the resolution itself. Mr. Fraz.
Yeah, I would just like to respond on several issues, but yeah, it's a big, beautiful state-of-the-art transportation project, and I think anybody would be proud to have their name on it. We should all be proud as county residents that we're shortly going to be bringing to a close one of our largest, if not the largest, transportation projects in the county. And if you haven't seen it, get a hold of me and we'll take a tour. But I do want to state that this, the term backroom deal was mentioned, and of course, Mr. Caius was at all the meetings and all the votes for this, so I would hardly call it that. Staff refers to it as back office administration. So the A to Z proposal that we already approved that was mentioned by Mr. Caius is what I would term the hardware for the project. And what we're voting on today is the administration of it. So we could either start a whole new department of the county and hire people and give them pensions and benefits, or we can hire a company that does it very efficiently, and that's what this is. So it's a $7,778,497 contract, but this is for a 6-year contract with 2 2-year extensions. So that amount is the maximum possible over 10 years. So it's under $1 million, about $750,000 to administrate the tolling throughout the year. Lastly, I would just like to say, I know Chris is very concerned about his constituents, but if it were not for the toll, the 100% of the costs would be borne on Kane County residents. And as we know, the whole reason for the toll, which first started being discussed in 2004, was because of its proximity to the county line. It's practically right on the county line. So a lot of the users will be from McHenry, and also it terminates on the east right at the Cook County line. So it seemed like it was a fair thing to share the burden by those that would be using it. Therefore, that's how the tolling idea came along. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frost. Any other discussion? See, Mr. Copey.
$1.2 million, roughly whatever that per year does seem somewhat absorbent. Is it electronic monitoring, or are these actual people that sit in booths?
No, it's 100% electronic monitoring. To be clear, it's about $750,000, not 1.2. So $750,000 a year, but this is to handle all of the collections of the fees, follow up on people that blow through the facility, everything related to operating the toll system.
Okay, thank you. But it was for a 6-year contract?
6 years with 2 2-year options to extend. So it's really up to a 10-year contract, and the total amount reflects the full 10-year option.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that clarification.
Okay. Thank you,
Mr.
Mr.
Chairman?
Frost. Mr. Surgis had his hand up, but I just heard somebody on the phone. Go ahead, Mr. Surgis, and then we'll.
Drew, I did have and if Tom Rickard is here, I did have a West Dundee board member reach out and ask kind of a simplified question saying, is it a percentage basis or a fixed fee? Meaning, if there's more cars that drive on it, does that $750,000 a year go up? Or is it a flat fee across the board regardless of the number of uses?
It's a flat fee, and of course, the staff had to anticipate or estimate the volume of traffic. So I imagine over the years, it may have to be adjusted somewhat, but right now it's a fixed fee, and that will be, it's at the very lowest end of the scale that's been discussed over the last 10 or so years.
And if I can just, Tom, thank you so very much for taking those calls and responding to them professionally and abundantly thorough. I mean.
Okay. Was I correct, Tom, in what I said?
Yes, you are correct. It's primarily a flat fee. There are some unit costs, and that's as Mr. Frost mentioned, those unit costs might have some changes in them. But we anticipated what those unit costs would be and made a good guess.
And we do have a discount program. Maybe, Tom, you could explain. We for local users and people that want to buy like a longer term program, we can give them a discount.
Yeah, the county board gave us direction to do 2 things. Those 2 things were to, first of all, look at the costs of the operations and maintenance aspect. And we were able, based upon the estimates that we gave the county board in 2018, we were able to reduce those costs by 32%. So we followed through with the county board request on reducing these overall costs. And then the second thing was to look at the costs of the trips of people over the bridge. And what we have established is what we call a local tag, essentially. And that local tag will reduce the costs. So like if an individual had 5 round trips over the bridge during the week, it would average at 38 cents per crossing. So that's significantly less than the 95 cents that we had brought before the county board in 2018. So we worked very hard to meet those 2 requests of the county board, and we feel like that the end product met those requests of the board.
And is this a separate, when you say a tag, is this a separate device or is it just your iPass thingy?
iPass.
There is a separate device as well that will, I mean, basically you would purchase that device for a resident of Kane County. You would purchase that device for $200 a year, and a non-resident, it would be $300 a year. And that's how we significantly reduce the toll rates. So those individuals that live in that area that will be using a lot more, if you use it more than 5 round trips, it even goes below the 38 cents. So again, significant cost reductions in the use of the bridge.
So the local, the separate device is only for the local program, but your average person that has an iPass, we're members of iPass system now, your iPass will get you over the bridge. But if you want that local discount, then you would have a separate.
Got it. Thank you so much.
And we did
Tom,
use
thank you
the
again.
KDOT pioneered the QBS, quality-based selection program, and they use that to score the 5 firms that applied. And as Tom said, 32% reduction in what we originally estimated the cost was going to be due to staff's diligence.
Okay, I'm sorry to ask for this clarification, but the question you had asked was, is it a variable cost or fixed cost?
Correct.
It sounds like there are 2 components. There's a fixed cost, but also a unit cost was referred to, which if any part of it is a unit cost, which is variable, I think the answer to the question, I mean, the spirit is, let's see, it's been estimated by our very competent staff about what those unit costs, that variability will be. I think that what do you call it? The literal answer to your question is that it is a variable, that there's at least a component variable, which makes it variable. So I don't know if I'm right about that, but I think if I listen closely to what everybody just said, that variable portion has been estimated and then built into what's held out to these folks.
Out of the 7 million that was discussed that's appropriated for the costs over the 10 years, the actual fixed cost is 5.8 million approximately. And then there's a couple million worth of unit costs there that we've tried to estimate and have those monies available to pay for those services.
Okay. Okay.
I believe Mr. Caius was asking to speak again.
Okay, let's see. There was a lady's voice that I heard on the phone. I would go there and then I'd go to Mr. Caius, then I'd go to Mr. Copey. So was there a person on the phone who would like to address the board? Okay, hearing none, then we're going to go back to Mr. Caius. Thank you, Mr. Fraz. Mr. Caius, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think the point being, and the point I am trying to make, is it's easy to explain down it's just $1 million here and $1 million there, but it is the burden of the residents in northern Kane County, whether they have a sliding scale or anything else, that we will be paying for the bridge, and that even with the sliding scale, if we use it a lot, it's still going to cost an extra $200 a year for us to pay for the bridge, for us to drive across town. So the point, that's the point, is that it seems that other areas of the county don't seem to recognize that it is a burden for us up here, and explaining it away seems to be easy, but we still have to pay for it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Caius. Mr. Copey.
Thank you. To Mr. Caius's point, somewhat alluded by originally, but the cost of this service, it does seem extremely high, especially considering Mr. Caius's view. In the event that the traffic potential in the study is not produced to assume these reimbursements, this revenue, what would be our recourse? Nothing. So I would suggest that we are offered a grace period, and the reason a grace period would be reasonable in regards to the contractor would be that the county taxpayers created this thing from thin air, paid for it, built it, and now we're just making a guess on what the traffic is going to be, but they're guaranteed their rate. I want to know what that traffic is going to be, and the county taxpayers would like to know that also. So give us a grace period of say 2 years, and then we'll renegotiate the contract if the numbers are sufficient and it's feasible.
Thank you, Mr. Copey. That's an opinion that's been expressed. Would Tom Rickard, for those on the phone, Mr. Rickard, do you wish to respond to that?
Yeah, I guess I would focus on every action that the board has done historically has led us to this direction. And the primary cost that we have involved is $42 million worth of debt service, as well as the maintenance of the improvement that has occurred out there. Those total costs are around $50 to $60 million over this long extended time period. Without the toll in place, we have to figure out where do we come up with that $50 to $60 million if there is a new direction that occurs. And so I share that because I think it is important that we understand that that's how all of this was established, is by that historical aspect. When I look at the overall costs, well, the 2018 study was a conservative estimate. The traffic numbers typically end up being higher than what we estimate. We did that estimate. We figured out the appropriate revenues in order to pay for all the various costs associated with the bridge. The current collection that's anticipated, when you look at the breakdown, about 40% of it goes to debt service, about 30% goes to the operations and maintenance that we're talking about here this morning, and then about 30% is essentially a set aside. It's the opportunity in the future for the county board to look at, do we want to make adjustments maybe to the toll rate, or do we need to make adjustments because of the delta in regards to traffic numbers and the revenues collected? That's 30%. By industry standards, my understanding is that's pretty good to have that 30% to cover any of the delta concerns. And again, sometime in the future, we'll have the opportunity to look at either maybe paying down the debt service sooner, so that you are able to move on, be after the toll bridge aspect, or you could look at toll rates. This is stuff that the county board will be looking at 5-10 years out.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Okay, Mr. Copey, if you'd like to respond to that, and then I think that Ms. Thomas has her. Mr. Copey?
Tom, I don't want to be misunderstood. I'm not advocating not having a toll. My point was that we don't know what the revenue stream is going to be because we don't know what the actual traffic pattern is going to be. So until we know that, we're guessing, and it's a potential that all the money we collect goes to collecting the money. So that could be a reality, and I don't want to be in that position. And he sat here strapped with 10 years worth of contract for, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Copey. Ms. Thomas?
So since Mr. Copey has asked about traffic, I'm just curious since we're talking, and I'm not familiar enough with the area, but, and this is for Mr. Rickard, how many ways around are there? And how far out of your way do you have to go? Because I'm guessing that while most won't like that there's a toll, they'll use it. So I'm just curious.
Yeah, there's
Generally.
there's Illinois 62 to the north and Illinois 72 to the south. I believe it's what, maybe 2.5 miles to the north and about 2.5 miles to the south. There's also Main Street Bridge. All those bridges are local in how they function. Main Street Bridge actually goes through the downtown area as well as 62 and 72. The only other bridge too is the I-90 bridge, but the toll rate on that bridge is higher and overall. And so I think that generally, as you were stating, people are going to find what best accommodates them. And so I think there will be users of this. Again, the study showed a significant lowering of the number in order to make sure that we're doing conservative estimates.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Ms. Thomas. Okay. Is it the consensus of the group to call that question?
Yes.
Okay. So clerk will call the roll.
Ellen? Aye. Barrero?
Ferrero, no.
Davis?
Davis, yes.
Raz?
Yes.
Hanson?
Hanson, yes.
Hoshite?
Yes.
Kenyon? Kenyon? Caius?
Caius and the cat vote no.
Copey?
No.
Leonard?
Yes.
Martin?
Martin, yes.
Molina?
Molina, no.
Sanchez?
No.
Cheflo?
Sheffield, yes.
Silva?
No.
Starrett?
No.
Surgis?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Wegman?
No.
Let me count these up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. Make sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12, 8 passes.
Okay, so the motion passes. Thank you, Celeste. See, here's the lady who measures twice, cut once. So good. Now we go into the section of the off consent for the CAC committee. I believe that there are 7 resolutions, and I'll turn this over to Mr. Hoshite if you would like to marshal us through these items.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to go a little bit out of order if you'll indulge
Where
me.
you'd like.
First, I'll move to 20-440. This is authorizing approval of supplemental applications for the Village of Wayne and the Village of Barrington Hills.
Okay, so moved by Mr. Hoshite, second by Mr. Fraz. Mr. Hoshite.
Yes, in the original municipal applications, we had allocations for each municipality. These two provided the information during our extended period of time for providing that information. We approved the original program with all the other municipalities. This is just adding on their requests.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Any from anybody on the phone? Hearing none. Clerk, call the roll.
Allen?
Allen, aye.
Barrero? Barrero?
Ferrero, yes.
Thank you. Davis?
Davis, yes.
Raz?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Hoshite?
Yes.
Kenyon?
Yes.
Caius?
Caius, yes.
Opie?
Opie, yes.
Leonard?
Leonard, yes.
Martin?
Martin, yes.
Molina?
Molina, yes.
Sanchez?
Yes.
Cheflo?
Sheffield, yes.
Silva?
Yes.
Starrett? Starrett? Surges?
Burgess, yes.
Sorry, Steer yes. It wouldn't
Thank
change,
you.
sorry.
Okay, Starrett, yes. Surges, yes. Thomas?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Wegman? Yes. That passes.
Okay, motion passes. Mr. Hoshait.
Right, next, I'll move 20-441. This is a resolution adding reimbursable expenses to the not-for-profit applications.
Moved by Mr. Hoshait, second by Mr.
Guerrero.
Second, I saw the hand go up for Mr. Surges. Mr. Surges. Seconds, discussion. Ms. Barrero, would you like to take the floor?
No, I have no discussion.
Any discussion? Seeing none. Any from anybody on the phone? Hearing none. Clerk, call the roll.
Ellen?
Ellen, aye.
Barrero?
Guerrero, yes.
Davist?
Davist, yes.
Raz?
Yes.
Hanson?
Hanson, yes.
Oshite?
Yes.
Kenyon?
Yes.
Caius?
Yes.
Opie?
Yes.
Leonard?
Leonard, yes.
Martin?
Martin, yes.
Molina?
Molina, yes.
Sanchez?
Yes.
Shefflo?
Definitely, yes.
We're on 20, 40, 41. Is that a yes?
Shefflo, yes.
Thank you. Silva?
Yes.
Starrett?
Steer yes.
Surges?
Burgess, yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Wegman?
Yes.
That passes.
Okay, motion passes. Mr. Hoshait.
Next,
I,
Agenda for 440, I just noticed that it says Village of Barrington.
it's Barrington Hills is, yes, I clarified that. Yes.
The agenda just says Barrington. I
All right.
don't know if the packet resolution had similar.
okay, we'll double check that. Thank you very much in your role as Assistant State's Attorney appointed by Joe McMahon. Okay, Mr. Hoshait, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move 20-442. This is authorizing approval of the applications for our not-for-profit entities. With the amendment of 441 that we just approved, this will allow us to fund virtually all the requests, including that for Hesed House. The original amount we allocated was $2 million, and I believe the supplemental allocation of an additional $1 million provides roughly $3 million for this entire program. And subject to verification with our consultant, that'll approve and fund all of the requests that were made.
Okay, so moved by Mr. Hoshait, second by Mr. Hanson. Second by Mr. Hanson. Discussion? Seeing none. Hearing none. Clerk, call the roll.
Allen?
Allen, aye.
Barrero?
Guerrero, yes.
Davist?
Davist, yes.
Raz?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Hoshite?
Yes.
Kenyon?
Yes.
Caius?
Yes.
Opie?
Yes.
Leonard?
Leonard, yes.
Martin?
Martin, yes.
Molina?
Molina, yes.
Sanchez?
Yes.
Shefflo?
Shefflo, yes.
Silva?
Yes.
Starrett?
Yes.
Surges?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Wegman?
Yes.
That passes.
Okay, that motion passes. Mr. Hoshait.
Next, I'll move 20-443. This creates an additional CARES Act Fund grant program to be administered by the Office of Community Reinvestment. As we evaluated the funds that were available at the end of the, as we near the end of the program, we realized that there were additional business grant funds available. There was also some funds in contingency. This would allow for a streamlined program with the idea of addressing the more recent shutdowns caused by the resurgence of coronavirus. And this would set aside $5 million for businesses, $1 million for performing arts and similar entities, and $250,000 for historic agencies. And so with that, the program would be a streamlined program, simplified, with the Office of Community Reinvestment working with KEBR consultant to make sure all the i's are dotted and t's are crossed.
So moved by Mr. Hoscheit. I saw the hand, Mr. Surge's hand go up. So we have a motion and a second. Have those programs been not fleshed out, but as people are voting on it, like when people say, what's that program? Is there are there the guidelines or the application eligibility? Is there a resolution with the detail for 443?
This spells out the basic skeleton of the program. I believe we said with the additional information was that the business grants would be $25,000 maximum. The performing arts grants would be $100,000 maximum. And I believe the historic items would be $25,000. If we approve this, then we will work with the office to get those programs cemented and move forward with them. So we'll come back with additional information once the final programs are approved.
Okay, so this is maybe an in progress kind of
Correct.
resolution. We'll probably have another board meeting at some point, whether it's special or regular routine. And at that point, the written program will be presented to the folks so that they're not voting on something that's just skeletal.
Correct.
Okay, thanks. Motion second, discussion. Mr. Hanson?
Wanted to thank the CAT committee, anyone who's helping out with this streamlined second round for doing so. I don't think any of us anticipated being here. And I mean, the overall climate, the business climate, the still in the midst of a health pandemic that we're in right now. And with the second round of mitigation measures that have been taken upon or have been imposed upon businesses, they need the help. And I think this is designed to move and we want to get it out. We don't want to send any money back to Washington, so this is a good way to do it. And I also wanted to add regarding that resolution 440, within the packet, it does read Village of Barrington throughout the entire resolution itself. It does not say Barrington Hills.
So then I would ask the chairman to call a vote on 443 if we're done discussing it, and then we can go back and address that issue on 440.
Sounds good. Any other discussion on 443? Seeing none, hearing none, clerk call the roll.
Allen?
Aye.
Barrero?
Barrero, yes.
Davist?
Davist, yes.
Raz?
Yes.
Hanson?
Hanson, yes.
Hoscheit?
Yes.
Kenyon?
Kenyon, yes.
Caius?
Caius, yes.
Opie? Leonard?
Yes.
Martin?
Martin, yes.
Molina?
Molina, yes.
Sanchez?
Yes.
Shefflo?
Sheffel, yes.
Silva?
Yes.
Barrett?
Yes.
Surgis?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Wegman?
Yes.
It passes.
Okay, so the motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move that we.
Actually, I just wanted to, for the record, wanted to clarify. I certainly understand how important it is to keep moving all pieces forward. That's an important piece. I would ask Ms. Weiland in the minutes to reflect the commitment that naturally the details of that program will be brought back at a future board meeting. So thank you. I'm sorry for the interruption. Mr. Hoscheit.
I'll move to amend our approval of 20-440 to clarify the village reference therein from Barrington to Barrington Hills.
Moved by Mr. Hoscheit, second by Mr. Sanchez. Any discussion? Seeing none. Any from the phone? Hearing none. Thank you, Mr. Shepro.
It'll state Barrington Hills.
Clerk, call the roll.
Okay, and this is just.
This is
it'll
on an
state-
amendment.
It'll state then Barrington Hills.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, Ellen?
Allen, aye.
Barrero?
Barrero, yes.
Davist?
Davist, yes.
Raz?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Hoscheit?
Yes.
Kenyon?
Yes.
Caius?
Caius, yes.
Opie?
Yes.
Leonard?
Leonard, yes.
Martin?
Martin, yes.
Molina?
Molina, yes.
Sanchez?
Yes.
Cheflo,
Shefflo, yes.
Silva,
Yes.
Starrett,
Yes.
Surgis,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Wegman. That passes.
A motion passes. Mr. Hoshait?
Next, I'll move 20-444. This is the budget adjustment to accommodate the program we just approved in 443.
Okay, so moved by Mr. Hoshait, second by Mr. Fraz. Discussion? Ms. Thomas?
So the budget adjustment says 200,000 for historical societies and museums, but the resolution we just approved says 250,000.
So I'll move to amend to clarify that we had agreed it was 250.
You want that like as a friendly amendment?
Pardon, or we can, well, if the resolution is presented says 200, we need to clarify it. So I'll move to amend it to say 250 because that was the number that we discussed at committee.
So, oh, excuse me, Mr. Ansik, did you have clarification?
Yes, I just want to make sure I'm not seeing it. So, I mean, you could be right, but the intention is there's 200,000 for fiscal year 2020, and then there's 50,000 for fiscal year 2021.
But
because
all
I
encompassing,
see
right?
that. Okay.
Because we went over the calendar year
That's right.
or the fiscal year
Fiscal year.
before the end of the year. All right. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay.
I should have known that.
Ansik.
Right.
Draw or?
Thank you.
Good.
Drawn.
Hey, everybody's, on their toes.
The original motion
Playing.
is going forward.
Okay, so we don't need the amendment.
Okay.
So Celeste will call the roll.
Okay, on the original
Yes,
444.
yes.
Ellen. I'm sorry?
Ellen, aye.
Okay. Barrero,
Ferrero, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Raz,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hoshait,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Opie,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Cheflo,
Shefflo, yes.
Silva,
Yes.
Starrett,
Starrett, yes.
Surgis,
Burgess, yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Wegman.
Yes.
That passes.
Okay, motion passes. Mr. Hoshait?
Yes, next is 2445. This authorizes a revised budget for the entire program based on the changes that we had made.
Okay, so moved by Mr. Hoshait, second by Mr. Fraz. Discussion? Seeing none, any from anyone on the phone? Hearing none, clerk call roll.
Ellen,
Ellen, aye.
Ferrero, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Raz,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hoshait,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Opie,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Cheflo,
Shefflo, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Starrett,
Starrett, yes.
Surgis,
Burgess, yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Wegman.
Yes.
It passes.
Okay, motion passes. Mr. Hoshait?
Mr. Chairman, before we go back to 2439, I just want to give the committee or the board an update briefly. We did have a conference call yesterday where the health department requests were vetted and subject to additional information being provided, it appears that those will all be approved. One of the concerns we raised earlier multiple times was the timing of the disbursements and the request that the funds go out this calendar year so we don't violate any rules. And there was some discussion about a recent regulation that was approved that indicated that as long as the expenses were incurred this year, the disbursement could occur next year. Notwithstanding that fact, I urged the group, and it is the direction of the committee to disperse the funds this calendar year. And so what we're doing, the expectation is that all of the municipal requests have been approved. The intergovernmental agreements have been signed and are coming back. They're documentation is going to be vetted this week with the hope that the request for funding will go out during this next calendar week. Right after that, the other units of local government and not-for-profits will be approved and out. So the schedule for disbursements, as we're getting questions from our municipalities and constituents, is within the next couple of weeks, there should be substantial disbursement of the funds. As far as the county's access to the county funds, it's as simple as Mr. Ozick making journal entries and then working with the treasurer to transfer the funds from the coronavirus account into our existing accounts, and that can be accomplished even quicker. So we're moving forward. There is light at the end of the tunnel, but we will be having subsequent committee meetings here probably early next week as we get further along in this process.
Good. Mr. Hoshai, thank you so much for that clarification. So I think what I heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that the direction from this board, like the consensus, is that notwithstanding what could be a confusing direction from the federal government, this board's direction to all of the CAC effort is to disperse it by the 12/30/2020.
That's correct.
Beautiful. That's the only safe way. So, good.
And of course, the sooner the funds get out, the sooner they can be put to use. So that's the goal as well.
Good.
All right, on 2439, I'm going to make a motion to approve this. This is authorizing reimbursement for three specific items in the sheriff's office. And I'm going to make a motion, then I want to make a comment before we get into detailed discussion, but I'll ask for a second on this.
Leonard seconds.
Right. So moved by Mr. Hoshai, second by Mr. Leonard. Mr. Hoshai.
Just a little bit of background. As everyone recalls, we went through a very deliberate process and continue to go through that process as we evaluate requests for grants or reimbursements. Those included a number of county department requests and elected officials requests, including the three from the sheriff's office that are here as part of this resolution. In order to make sure or give us the best chance of surviving an audit in the event that the federal government requested verification of where the money was allocated, we went through a process of reviewing this with our state's attorney's office and with our consultant. And to date, all those items have come back approved, subject to further verification. But we knew going into the process that there were going to be a few gray area items. And because there is no black and white process, we knew that once we got to area where there was gray area, that we would have to identify those and take a vote on them. There have been opinions provided. Some of that is confidential, and we can go into executive session if there's a need to do that. But without breaking the confidence and discussing that in an open meeting, with respect to these expenses, we've heard the presentations made on multiple occasions by the sheriff. The most substantial expense is the $4 million for the radio conversion. That $4 million expense is supplemented with an additional $1 million in funds from the sheriff's own budget. And the sheriff very eloquently presented the need for this upgrade and the manner in which it'll help us comply, and the reason that under HIPAA laws, COVID brought this to the forefront. In addition, there are some temperature scanners that the sheriff purchased that were part of a separate request. Up until this date, we haven't had any temperature scanners needed. And so, the argument is that certainly this is COVID related. And then the last item related to a vehicle that the sheriff articulated was necessary because of the approach that his officers or deputies and staff have to take in terms of dealing with the public, not knowing whether they're exposed to coronavirus or not. So we knew those were gray areas going in. This motion comes to us from the CAC committee who deliberated on this. And there was what I recall was unanimous consent to move forward with these expenditures, knowing that we would submit the the justification that was presented by the sheriff during his presentations to us and with the understanding that we would hope that the expenditures would be justified. So that's why this comes to us as a separate motion. Quite frankly, given the millions of dollars of requests that were made throughout this process, I expected that when we got to this point, we would be talking about more issues, but we're down to these 3 issues. And as chairman of the committee, I was convinced that we were in a position to move forward with this. And the consequence of us losing any audit process is down the road that the board would have to be in a position to supplement those funds with other monies. As the chairman indicated in his budget presentation earlier today, that we have sufficient reserves to cover that if this was an issue. That wouldn't be the preferred use of those funds, but with that backstop, I'm comfortable suggesting to the board as a whole that we move forward and approve these items.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hochheit. Any discussion? Mr. Sanchez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Hochheit, given some of the guidance by the state's attorney's office, approving these, does that mean that the money will still be going towards them? Or if they're not able to be reimbursed, we're just not going to purchase?
Okay. No, the process doesn't work that way, Mr. Sanchez. We are tasked with allocating the funds and investing the funds. And then if someone down the road were to question our use of funds, then we would have to justify it. So we're not asking the federal, and that's true with any money spent from this program. The government provided guidelines, which were clearly unclear, so much so that there were multiple revisions to deal with changes over time. And my expectation is that process will continue to evolve as, now at the federal level, as they continue to deal with this potential transition that we're dealing with. My guess is there'll be some additional relief for governmental bodies, and there'll be more regulations that the next board can deal with. But we have to do our best with the regulations that are there now. We don't, unfortunately, have a vetting process where we can submit every expense to the federal government for approval. We just have to do our best with the information we have.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, hearing none. Let's see. I think that this is a very important step to take. One of the last approval pieces is that the consultant or the auditors and the state's attorney's office determine that this is an eligible expense. In the end, no matter what anybody says, it's still the board's responsibility to assume the risk. I understand this resolution to just make that process explicit, that where they're passing on these 3, the board is making it explicit. We support the eligibility of these. Is that
That's
about
correct. Yes, I think that's the spirit of the vote here,
Right.
for sure.
So, good. With that, clerk, call the roll.
Allen, aye. Sorry, Ellen is aye. Barrero?
Barrero, yes.
Davis?
Davis, yes.
Fraz?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Hochheit?
Yes.
Kenyon? Kenyon? Caius?
Caius, yes.
Opie?
Opie, yes.
Leonard?
Leonard, yes.
Martin?
Martin, yes.
Molina?
Molina, yes.
Sanchez? Sanchez?
Yes.
Shefflo?
Shefflo, yes.
Silva?
Yes.
Starrett?
Starrett, yes.
Burgess?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Wegman?
Yes.
That passes.
Okay, motion passes.
Did you get my yes vote? Kenyon?
I did now, thank you.
I was muted.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kenyon. Mr. Hochheit, is there anything else that?
No, that concludes the resolutions today. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. important steps forward. Okay, next on the agenda, 2 appointments, and with your indulgence, we'll do them together. Mill Creek Water Reclamation District, that's Jim Doherty, and then Kane County Board Conservancy District reappointment, that's Brandon Wiesdorf. So, so moved by Mr. Fraz, second by Ms. Allen. Any discussion?
I would just like to clarify, there was a typo on the agenda. It should be Lake Marion River Conservancy District for Brandon.
Oh, do you know what? That's the second one, isn't it? Yeah.
Thank
Do you know, actually, on the note that Karen just passed me, it was Lake Marion. So just, I tell you what, we'll take them separately. First of all, may I have a motion and a second to approve the appointment, reappointment for Mill Creek Water Reclamation District, and that's Jim Doherty. So moved by Mr. Fraz, second by Ms. Allen. Any discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, clerk call the roll.
Allen.
Allen, aye.
Barrero. Barrero.
Sorry, I had to quiet my dog. Yes.
Davis.
Davis, yes.
Fraz.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Hoshite.
Yes.
Kenyon.
Yes.
Tyus.
Tyus, yes.
Copey.
Yes.
Leonard.
Leonard, yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Molina.
Molina, yes.
Sanchez.
Yes.
Shefflo.
Duffo, yes.
Silva.
Yes.
Barrett.
Starrett, yes.
Surges.
Surges, yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Wegman. That passes.
Okay, the next is, may I have a motion and a second to approve the reappointment of Brandon Wiesdorf to the Lake Marion Conservancy District. Jody, do I have it right? Okay, so moved by Mr. Sanchez, second by Ms. Allen. Any discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, clerk call the roll.
Allen.
Allen, aye.
Barrero.
Guerrero, yes.
Davis.
Davis, yes.
Fraz.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Hoshite.
Yes.
Kenyon.
Yes.
Tyus.
Caius, yes.
Opie.
Yes.
Leonard. Leonard.
Leonard, yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes.
Molina.
Molina, yes.
Sanchez.
Yes.
Shefflo.
Duffo, yes.
Silva.
Yes.
Starrett.
Starrett, yes.
Surges.
Surges, yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Wegman.
Yes.
That passes.
A motion passes. Mr. Fraz?
Yeah, if you'll indulge me, Mr. Chairman, we're wrapping up the agenda, I assume.
We are.
As we say goodbye to many of our board members and our chairman, I'd like to wish them all well, and it's been a pleasure working with them, and I consider them all friends and so forth, but I do feel compelled to single out one in particular. Mr. Hoshite's leaving us after 24 years on the Kane County Board. I know he looks like he's 34, but he's been on the board 24 years. I did some quick math, and conservatively, that was about 25,000 hours of service and about 4,000 meetings. So he spent most of his adult life serving the board. And I know none of you will doubt the fact that when I say that whenever we hit a rocky discussion or a tough issue, all eyes seem to go to John to help steer us through those stormy waters. And it's been a pleasure to work with you, John, and we wish you nothing but the best.
Okay, let's see. Then before we adjourn, if you can put up my last slide. First of all, I want to wish all of you a happy and prosperous future. I want to thank you for allowing me to share this portion of your life. And it is true, as the poet Alexander Pope said, act well your part. That's where all the honor lies. So thanks again. May I have a motion to adjourn? So moved by Ms.
Kenyon move.
And Kenyon seconds. Clerk, Actually, I think we can do this by just acclamation, right? Acclamation. So all those in
No
favor
more
of
roll
adjourning?
call?
No. So all those in favor say aye.
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 Nay. Ayes have it.